This is a Zach Feldman Show replay on ZRadioLive.com.
The web to music station ZRadio Live. This is the Zach Feldman Show. Joining me over the phone is an artist. He just dropped his seventh studio album. It's called Never Ending Story. It's John Anthony. John, thanks so much for joining me here on the Zach Feldman Show. How's everything going?
Very good, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, anytime. So tell me all about this new studio album that just released.
Yeah, so this is my new album. Just came out last Friday. Never Ending Story. Pretty much, I've made a lot of music in the last few years, but this project is really special to me. It's kind of just one of these albums of mine that I didn't really overthink it. I just kind of wanted to put together good music for a lot of my art, for a lot of my fans out there, and it's just one of those projects that I feel is resonating very well with the audience, and I'm really glad to hear some of the feedback on it. And I didn't really overthink it on this one. It was just a hip hop album that I really enjoyed and thought a lot of people would like it.
When you're going into the studio, what's the one thing you do to kind of get yourself psyched up for this?
I mean, I find a way to just get myself into the zone. Really don't pressure myself when it comes to recording. So with this album in particular, a lot of the recording process for it was just kind of like understanding what the audience would want. And I mean, I didn't really at all overthink anything. I just kind of let it be, and the process was very simple because I mean it felt like it was something that I would have enjoyed doing a long time ago. I feel like I pressured myself these last couple albums, but this one I let it all out.
Well, you killed it. You did a great job. There's 21 tracks on this album, which is insane. I mean, for an artist, especially, releasing an album too. I mean, that's even longer than most albums out there. Was this years in the making on creating all these tracks?
Some of them, I mean, realistically, some of them had stories that kind of date back to when I first started. Like a lot of things I explain on this album on a couple songs that, if you follow my career, you'll get an idea from. A lot of them are just kind of like songs that I just started writing recently and just, wanted to vibe to and wanted to relate to and have people enjoy. But the whole concept of this project is kind of like a fresh start for my career. It's more like a restart, if anything, because a lot of my older projects, they took off, but they didn't take off in the way I expected. So I really wanted to restart, put a pause on the old stuff and kind of get into the new stuff. And so I mean, it's a whole new different type of album, but yeah, definitely something enjoyable.
You back in the day, you also created mixtapes. I mean, you've created basically everything from solo songs to mixtapes to collaborating with other artists too. I mean, what is your favorite way of getting your music out there?
I mean, you pretty much kind of nailed it with the collaborating with artists. I love doing that with other artists. I love to find the right talent that I think fits me and fits them as well. And I think we can make great magic. So that's kind of the big way I love doing it. I obviously I love to perform too. So I do have a show coming up soon. So I mean, it's getting out there, getting new fans engaged, and even getting my old fans more engaged. That's kind of the love of it for me.
And speaking of collaboration, you collaborated a lot with Jay Mont on this album. Tell me about working with him.
Yeah, so Jay Mont, he's an amazing artist. He's local, so he's in the area that I'm from too. He's signed to my label, so he was a talent that I've didn't really know for a long time until I heard his music, of him sending some stuff to me. And, I really saw the development from his debut project a few years ago all the way to here. I mean, he's an absolute talent, a great friend of mine. And, he really brings to life the label of what I've created in Villainous Records. So he's an amazing artist.
How's Villainous Records been for you?
Amazing. I mean, it started out as just a simple name I wanted to have underneath all my albums dropped to now becoming an LLC, becoming an official business. We have a couple artists on our roster now, a couple producers, A&Rs. It's becoming something that a staple of this area, of the NEPA area, and I'm very excited and thrilled to see where it goes.
Do you think you're ever going to take a step back, and obviously work with those artists more?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the goal. I mean, I love working with independent artists. I love working with newer artists that are in the area or out of the area. It's a competitive edge because if they're in a way very good at what they do, it makes me feel like I have to step up my game, and I really, really enjoy doing that.
That's awesome. And that's really great. And again, you mentioned, or before you mentioned you were actually going on tour too. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so we just started. It's basically me and just J-Mont. We mainly are performing locally, but we've just started last year in December with our first concert out of our 3. First one was called the Heroes to Villains concert, which was an album that Justin and I, or J-Mont and I, dropped back in October. So we performed last year in December as our first show. We have a second show coming up next month in June 15th. That will be our second show, and that one's called Scary Season Live. That will feature J-Mont, myself, and another local artist. And then there is a third one coming down probably either next year or later in the year, but that will be determined when we announce that one.
Before you go, I want to also ask you too a little history on your career too. I mean, you started off as a different rap name too, $1 originally. Mm-hmm. Where did that rap name come from originally?
Yeah, so that is probably the beginning years for me. I can't really pinpoint it. That had to be like 12, 13-year-old me. I want to say it's because I was such a big fan of 50 Cent. I just wanted to one-up him 50 more cents. Something like that. I don't know. But, yeah, that definitely was that was experimental me, my early years starting out. And I went through a couple other stage names. But, yeah, $1 is a really classic for me.
Well, you're only 24, and you've already created so much music in your discography. I mean, is there ever going to be an end to that?
I really don't see. And
No.
I think that kind of also comes back to, my recently released album, The Never Ending Story. I mean, this is a never ending story for me. I love making music. I might not be exactly where I thought I would be fame-wise or, relatively noticeable-wise at this age, but I'm making music, and I think that's the ultimate goal. 5 years ago, I would have been very annoyed that I'm not where I wanted to be. But I came to the realization that it's just the love of music, and I do have a good fan base of people who are dedicated, and I think that's all really that matters to me. If it gets bigger than that, I'm excited. If not, I just love making music.
And that's huge because I mean it's just you're so passionate about it too, and it shows with all the music you've created in the past too, and also with this new release too. I've Never Ending Story. I was listening to Motions, excuse me. Before it was just a great song, especially with TBH too. There's just 21 tracks on this album that just never stop, and there's a never-ending story, as they say.
Yep, exactly.
Well, where can people find you if they haven't heard about you before? Where can they find you online?
So my website is johnanthonyofficial.com. On there, you can find everything about me. There's a biography about me. There's videos. There's music. There's pictures. There's everything you can really understand. There's news on there. But outside of there, I mean, really, I have music on all platforms, from Spotify, Apple Music. You can also find a lot of my music in stores, Amazon. You can probably buy physical copies. I also have a store on my website as well for merch. I mean, kind of just Googling up John Anthony Rapper, you'll probably find a good amount. There's a couple articles about some albums I put out there, a couple articles about who I am. And then, there's more biographies about me too. I like to really dive into my life. So I hired somebody who can really dive into all the aspects of my life. So if there's more to learn, you can find that online for sure.
That's awesome. Well, John Anthony, we're so excited for the new album that just released and so excited to see you on tour too. Hopefully you're going to come by New York soon.
That is actually one location we are looking for.
Hell yeah. Well, let me know. We'll definitely come by. It'll be awesome. John Anthony, thanks so much for joining me here on the Zach Feldman Show. Best of luck with the brand new album. Again, it's called Never Ending Story, and you can find it on Amazon.
Want to hear more? Listen to the Zach Feldman Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on ZRadio Live.com.